What's up guys, Jay the Builder here, and we're kind of continuing on this overclocking battle between GamersNexus and I. Paul has apparently decided to delid his 7980 XE, so that is something that is going to be coming in the near future. He's jumping into this. But my goal today is to get so far ahead, to go so far past the current scores that we've already loaded up on the 3D Mark site, that everyone just gives up. Well, between Paul and Kyle and Steve, of course, they're the real overclockers. They're coming soon. We know they're coming. So I want to show you guys something because Steve is banking on the fact that my CPU has degraded because that's what I said online, and that's partially true. But what the internet doesn't know, well, I've said it a bunch of times, but the internet doesn't really listen, is I've got my overclocks back, baby. This ain't over. EVGA offers a full range of components including video cards, motherboards, power supplies, cases, and peripherals. Regardless of your needs, EVGA is sure to have you covered. To see what EVGA can do for your next build, head to evga.com. So what has changed since my last video? If you guys haven't seen the last one, go ahead. I custom made a block for our EVGA XC Ultra. Just used my cheap GPU block. I made a VRM block for it. And then I've water cooled another 2080 Ti. That one's using a EK Supremacy Evo, no VRM cooling on it. Still just using that heat plate that's sort of on there, but it's not going to be a problem because the main card, the one that has the display hooked up to it, that's the one that gets hottest in terms of higher voltages and power draw. So we seem to be getting away with it all right. But let's take a look at my settings here. These are the CPU settings I've actually got. And the reason why I'm sharing this in this video is because I don't think I'm going to be able to push this much farther without delidding and doing crazy cooling options, which I'm just not prepared to do today. So I'm going to kind of go for broke, put it all out there with my best scores and see what we get. Because I will tell you this, the score that Steve put up recently, the 14,400 something, would have beat my 14,668 or 14,468. But right before he was able to upload his scores, I uploaded a better score. So he's still in second place, otherwise he'd be sitting in first right now. And we're gonna beat my own scores today because reasons. So here's where I'm currently at. We've got 4.9 gigahertz going right now on my CPU. It's a 49 ratio on there. On all my cores, as you can see, my mesh ratio is at 33 and our AVX offset is set to 0. You want 0 because whatever number is in there is going to reduce from the multiplier. So if we're running a 49 multiplier and we've got a 3 mesh ratio, which is default, it will drop our core ratio down to 4.6 gigahertz from 4.9 if it's seeing an AVX instruction. Now the 3D Mark TimeSpy CPU test is an AVX test, so we do not want that negative offsetting, otherwise it's going to slow down our CPU during that test. So we also are going to be running here 2.1, and it's funny, it's set to 2.1, it's got a little bit more, 2.135, 2.148. That's our CPU VIN, or our voltage in. That's the total amount of voltage going into the CPU that then has to be able to power both the V core, which I have set to 1.465. It's so high because well, not a golden sample, it needs a lot of voltage, and because I'm not delidded. So because I'm not delidded, I have temperatures are obviously an issue, so I've got to keep temperatures and voltages very much in check. Steve is running a delidded CPU, so he's got an advantage there, as always. Steve's always kind of got an advantage. He's kind of like Samson. I'm pretty sure his power is derived from his hair. So if I actually lose, I'm going to fly to North Carolina, I'm going to break in, and I'm going to take clippers to him while he sleeps. And then that's not creepy at all, but it's totally worth it to win this battle, whatever. So my mesh is set to 1.35. VSA, or system agent, is set to 1.3, as well as our VCCIO set to 1.3, and our uncore voltage offset is a 450 plus offset. Those are for memory overclocking. Speaking of memory, I'm running at 3800 megahertz. This is Corsair Dominator Platinum Special Edition. I'm running 1.6 volts. That's a lot of volts, but it can take it. And I've tightened up the timing to 15, 15, 15, 30. I'm not touching any of the sub timings. In case you're curious, the XMP profile on this is a 3447 with a 16, 18, 18, 36 timing. So we've tightened all of that up. And then of course I've got all the fans and stuff on the VRMs running pretty much full speed because we're asking a lot of power of that. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna rotate this computer back around so it's actually cooling my graphics cards again, because I forgot. I had this cold air that's coming through the AC actually blowing on the cards so that As you can see, I don't have a water block on the VRMs on this card. You can see I can touch it and stuff, it's no problem. But I wanted to actively cool it with the cool air that is coming through the AC unit. And by me turning it, I did myself sort of a disservice there. Now, because I do have both of my graphics card water cooled, you can see my temperatures are amazing. These are my clocks that I'm sort of at right now. These aren't my max clocks, but this is how high I've gotten it so far. 15C on the second card, 15C on the first card, but I've got a plus 1180 overclock on the RAM on both cards, as you can see, and a plus 160 on the core. Now I can actually push that core a little bit higher, but for now we're just gonna run it like this, and we're gonna see sort of where it lands. So to further understand how important this is today, Steve did his live stream where he beat me live and did like a 14,300 something score. And at a 14,068, it was really low. And Steve was very excited. He beat me on live stream, and then I came in the studio and degraded my CPU. Now I've got it back, like I said. We just got a 14,885. So, as you can see, he spent all weekend to beat the old score. That's now 400 points lower than the score we just uploaded. And we're not done. No, we're not done. We're gonna play around with this for a little bit, and we're gonna see how much more we can truly get out of this. Told you, we're not done. 14,894. Steve, what were you saying about my degraded CPU? 11,690, that's 600 points higher than my previous, I think. We got our graphics score to a 15,651. I told you, I gotta put this away. I don't have time. I don't have time to screw around with this. We got real work to do. So what I changed, and you guys can't actually see, I don't think, it still says 4.89. I haven't messed with my B clock yet. I did learn that this CPU likes a mixture of B clock as well as multiplier. So I'm still just on the multiplier at 4.9 gigahertz, but I did bump up the memory just a little bit to 1190, still at plus 160 clock on both. So there's that. Look at these temperatures though. Both of them at 15C. That is amazing. So that's what got us our 14,894. So why don't we do this? Let's just see what happens at 1200 on the memory, which is this is insane. I've never had memory go this far. So GDDR6 is definitely loving the overclocks. So all right, let's just see what happens with that. So 1200 megahertz overclock on the clock, still on the same core. That bumped us up to 14,898. So close to the 15,000. I can taste it. Graphics scored at 15,659. So why don't we do this now? Why don't we go ahead and bump our core clock to 170, leave the memory where it's at. The amazing thing is I didn't have any sort of artifacting, which is absolutely unheard of at this clock speed. So yeah, let's just see what that does. That's 10 more megahertz on the core. It's not going to be an exact 10, it's going to be more like 12. It's going to step it up to the next P state. So let's see what that gets us. 14,922, look at it. Well, would you just look at it? That graphics score just keeps going up and up and up. This is where we're gaining. You can see our CPU score is still around the 11,600 range because we haven't touched our CPU yet. 15,697 on the video, and 14,922 on the graphics. Look at it. Don't look at me, look at it. That's the star. That's the star right there. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go for broke. I'm gonna go plus 180 on the core. But what I'm gonna do right now is I'm also gonna step up our core clock to 5 gigs. Or not core clocks, our CPU. We're gonna get the CPU at 5 gigs. I'm gonna do it by adding 2 to the B clock. So 102, which is 49 times 2. So technically it'd be 4.998, close enough to 5 gigs, right? That is 5 gigahertz, okay? I know it doesn't show a 5, it's 5. Rounding, math, Common Core, all that stuff. And just to show you that we're actually in the OS with this, here it is. We're at 4.99 fluctuating, so 5 gigs. There's our 49 multiplier and our 102 base clock right there. DRAM frequency is at 1937, so that times 2, right? That's getting us just under 4 gigahertz, but that's because the B clock also applies to the memory frequency as well. So I mean, I think we've already kind of achieved what we wanted to achieve today. I'd love to see a 15,000 Not entirely convinced that's going to happen today, but yeah, it's possible, but I don't know. Okay, so after lots of trial and error, lots of crashes, we are literally at the limit right now. 14,958 is my score. Funny enough though, even though we increased the base clock and it brought up the RAM speed a little bit and the CPU a little bit, 11,681 is still our max on the CPU. We can't get that over 11,700. Didn't really change with the faster CPU, so clearly there's other things that need to happen to make that score go up. But our GPU, look at that, because we ran the 1200 memory and the 180 core, 15,738. Now what's starting to happen here, at least for us in our current limitations, is the card is running very cool, but we're still hitting power limit. And even though we have the very unofficial, not recognized BIOS that we have obtained through the overclocking community, we still hit that power limit. In fact, we were spiking like a stupid amount of power draw, which means that the core clocks do suffer because of that. So temp is out of the equation, power draw is still a problem. So Steve with his shunt mods, and once he's on water, might be able to beat this. But this is pretty much all I could do. So 14,958, guys, somebody beat me to 15,000. That's not Kingpin. So Steve, once again, the ball is in your court. Have at it, man. I pass the hard hat to you. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Oh my God, Phil, come here. Dude, look, 15,000. 15,000. Oh my G. Look at the CPU score, 11,891. Okay, come here. So Phil was literally in the middle of editing this video that you guys are watching right now. That's why my vest is over here. I gotta put this on. Got to do that. So anyway, we were filming that, or he was editing that, and I was like, you know what? We can get 5 gigs. So you saw the 4.998 that we did, but what I did was instead of running 15, 15, 15, 30 on the timing on the memory, I went 15, 16, 16, 31. I loosened it just a little bit and jumped it up a whole nother multiplier to 4,000. And then when you take our B clock into account, which is still at 102, it's above 4,000. So if we look at CPU-Z here real quick, you can see that the memory is actually running 2,039, or we're actually running 40 or 4,080 megahertz on the memory. But that still shows 15, 15, 15, 31. Holy crap, so maybe my 16, 16, 16 didn't apply. Maybe that was the secret. Who cares? We got 15,000 in the Canadian Jayztwocents. And yeah, I mean, I'm done. I don't know, maybe we can go farther. Maybe there'll be another video, I don't know.